In the heart of Niger's treacherous political jungle, Dike, a once celebrated grassroots politician, vanishes without a trace after a deadly ambush. Presumed dead, vultures circle his wealth, his own brothers betray his family, aiming to seize everything. But fate has other plans. Rescued by a teenage boy in a forgotten village, Dike rises from the shadows, wounded but burning with purpose. As the corrupt elite tighten their grip on power, Dike uncovers a buried digital vault, evidence of decades-long embezzlement and blood money. Now hiding behind a fake identity, he launches a one-man revolution, leaking secrets that shake the nation. From narrow village trails to the corridors of dirty power, this is a gripping tale of survival, betrayal, justice, and redemption. Will Dike survive long enough to bring down the empire that once crowned him? Sit back and watch. Like and subscribe for interesting stories.
The Abuja sun was sharp that morning. The road was hot like firewood fire, but Dike's convoy cut through it like kings returning from battle. Black bulletproof jeeps, motorcycles with blaring sirens, and well-dressed officers sitting with stiff necks. Inside the lead jeep, Honorable Dike, a second-term senator from the southeast, was on his third call. His voice was calm, but firm. "Tell the chairman the health reform bill is final. If he tries to block it again, I'll expose the documents." He ended the call and looked out the window. He knew this political game was dangerous, but he didn't enter office to play like others. He wanted change. Suddenly, boom! The sound came like thunder. The car behind them exploded into flames. Gunshots followed, loud and close. From every corner, armed men in black appeared, firing without mercy. "Ambush!" someone shouted. Dike's driver swerved, but was shot through the chest. The car skidded and stopped near a bush path. "Sir, follow me!" his bodyguard, Fino, shouted. Fino opened the car door and dragged Dike out. The two men ran into the thick bush as bullets chased them. Behind them, the convoy was in chaos. Screams, smoke, and blood. Nobody could have expected what came next. They ran deep into the forest. Leaves scratched their faces and thorns tore their trousers. Dike's heart beat fast. He was bleeding from his arm, but he didn't stop. Fino found a small opening near a fallen tree. "We'll rest here," he said. Dike sat on the ground, coughing. "You saved me. Thank you." But Fino didn't reply. He stood up slowly, looked around, then brought out a small pistol from under his shirt. Dike's eyes widened. "What are you doing?" "I'm not with the attackers," Fino said, his voice cold. "But I've been waiting for this day. All of you. Rich men in Agbada. You use us, dump us, and live large. We protect you and still go home with nothing. Fino, don't do this. I can help you. Transfer 50 million to this account," Fino said, throwing a paper with account details. With trembling hands, Dike opened his phone and sent the money. By mistake, or fear, he sent 70 million. Fino's phone beeped. 70? "You can keep it all. Just let me go," Dike begged. Fino looked at the screen, then back at Dike. "You'll make headlines. DSS will investigate. Your family will cry. Me? Maybe I'll get peace." He pointed the gun at Dike's chest. Gunshot. The forest went quiet. Dike collapsed, blood everywhere. Fino dropped the phone, stepped back and vanished into the bush. 17-year-old Peter had entered the forest early that morning with his catapult slung across his shoulder. He came to hunt squirrels for his grandfather's pot. The forest was quiet except for chirping birds and crunching leaves under his bare feet. Suddenly he heard something, a groan. He paused. The sound came again, weak, like someone dying. He followed it, heart beating fast. Then he saw him, a man, bleeding, lying face down, barely alive. His wristwatch sparkled like something from the city. Peter rushed closer. The man's chest was moving, slow but steady. "Help me," the man whispered. Peter dropped his catapult. "Wait here!" he shouted, then turned and ran like his life depended on it. He ran through narrow paths, thorns scratching his legs until he reached his compound. "Grandpa! Grandpa!" Pa Sanjo, his grandfather, an old farmer with gray beards and wise eyes, stepped out of the hut. "Wetin happen?" he asked. "Man, dey die for bush." Without wasting time, Pa Sanjo grabbed his medicine bag and followed Peter. When they got there, he bent down, touched the man's neck, and looked up. This man is somebody important. Back in Basuma village, Pa Sanjo and Peter carried the man into their compound. His weight was heavy, but their fear was heavier. They laid him gently on a bamboo bed inside a small hut. Pa Sanjo cleaned the wound and pressed herbs against it, while Peter boiled water over firewood. "Who you think say he be?" Peter asked. Pa Sanjo wiped sweat from his forehead. "Dis no be ordinary pasan. See him skin. Too soft for farmer. And this kind watch? Na big man wear am." They removed his bloodied shirt. His phone was gone, but one identity card tucked inside his back pocket revealed the name. Dike Wangquo. Pa Sanjo hissed. "Ah, dis na big wahala." "You sabi am?" Peter asked. "Yes, Senator Dike, I don't see him for TV before." Peter's eyes widened. "Is he not the one they said was killed in an attack?" Pa Sanjo looked at the door. "Yes. And if not true say them think say he die, then this man no safe anywhere." They decided not to tell anyone, not even Peter's father, who had not returned to the village in months. For now, silence was safety. They covered him, gave him herbs, and waited for the forest to whisper its next story. By morning, it was everywhere. "Senator Dike assassinated by unknown gunmen." That was the headline on every station. TV, radio, social media, all carried the news. They showed the burnt convoy. They showed old videos of Dike shaking hands with governors. Even his past speeches began to trend online. In Abuja, government flags were lowered. At home, Adeza, his wife, held their children as people trooped into the compound, and one of his brothers, Shuka, stood outside acting like chief mourner. "We must take care of his family now," he said loudly, but deep down, he had already started calling lawyers. In the Senate, Bamidele, his political rival, gave a short speech. He was a strong voice, but life is short. Let's move forward. Back in Basuma, Dike opened his eyes slowly. He heard the transistor radio outside the hut. "Was confirmed dead after a brutal attack." Peter sat beside him, holding a warm rag. "You de hear them?" Peter asked softly. "They think say you die." Dike tried to speak, but only coughed. Pa Sanjo came in and looked at him. "You're safe here, but the world already buried you." Dike looked away. He had become a ghost, but ghosts sometimes return. 2 days passed. The wound on Dike's shoulder was healing, but his soul was restless. He hadn't said much. Sometimes he stared at the ceiling like a man trapped between two worlds. Peter brought him hot yam and oil, but he barely touched it. "You should eat," Peter said softly. Dike whispered, "What's your name?" "Peter. You saved my life." Peter smiled. "It was God. I only ran." That night, after Peter had slept, Dike sat with Pa Sanjo by the fire. "I heard the news. They buried an empty coffin." Pa Sanjo nodded slowly. "The dead don't bury themselves. Only the living write the story." "I want to go back," Dike said. "Go back as what? A dead man?" Dike was quiet. Pa Sanjo continued, "If you survived, maybe it's time to do things differently. Let God use this silence to speak sense into your destiny." Dike looked up. "I thought I could fix Niger, but politics in Abuja, it changes you." Pa Sanjo said, "Maybe this time you'll change it instead."
Back in Abuja, Senator Bamidele called a meeting with his closest allies. They met at a private lounge, far from cameras and microphones. "With Dike gone," Bamidele began, "we push the oil contract by next quarter." One of the men asked, "Should we worry about NSS? There's still no body." Bamidele chuckled. "Let them look. No corpse, no case. Besides, his wife will soon be too broke to fight." He sipped his drink and continued, "His seat must be filled. I want Ikenna Nwankwo, Dike's own brother, to take the nomination." Another man laughed. "Smart. Blood always betrays blood." Bamidele smiled. Meanwhile, Fino, the traitor bodyguard, sat in a lodge in Calabar, watching the news. He saw Dike's burial photo and scoffed. "So he's really dead." He looked at his account balance, N$70 million untouched. "But why I still feel like something they watch me?" Back in Busuma, Dike had begun writing notes, not to speak to journalists, but to remember names, and Bamidele's name was underlined 3 times. In Dike's family house in Enugu, his widow Adayeze sat in the living room surrounded by her husband's brothers, Chuka, Ikenna, and Sopolu. "Since he's gone," Chuka began, "we need to secure all his properties for the children." Adayeze looked at him. "I'm still here. I'm their mother." "Yes, yes," Sopolu added. "We're only helping you manage." The next week, they froze one of Dike's private accounts, sold his Benz, and began negotiating the sale of a warehouse in Onitsha. They claimed it was for family structure, but Adayeze knew the truth. They never liked Dike's reforms, and now they saw an opening. One evening, Adayeze locked herself in the room and cried silently. "They have forgotten him already," she whispered. She picked up Dike's framed photo. "Why did you leave us?" But he hadn't. He was alive, and the battle had just started. In Busuma, Peter noticed a change in his father. The man who abandoned them a year ago had suddenly returned. He walked around the compound with sharp eyes and too many questions. One night, Peter overheard him on a call. "Yes, I'm back. I'm checking if the man is really hiding here." Peter's chest tightened. He ran to Pa Sanjo. "Papa, I think my father is up to something." Pa Sanjo called Dike into the back hut. "I fear the wrong ears are listening," the old man said. Dike nodded. "We need to plan an exit." Later that night, Peter's father came into the compound and looked around. "I heard someone coughing inside," he said.
Peter replied, "It's Grandpa. He has cold." But his father didn't believe him. As he walked away, Dike whispered from inside the hut, "I know that man." Pa Sanjo asked, "From where?" Dike stared into the lamplight and said, "He was part of the attack." Pa Sanjo sat on a stool, grinding herbs as Dike paced. "We can't wait until he exposes us," Dike said. "Once he confirms I'm alive, they'll send people here." "Then we must move you," Pa Sanjo replied. "There's a quiet bush path to Isayin. I have an old friend there." Dike looked at Peter. "You've done more for me than many men in Abuja." Peter shrugged. "I only did what was right." That night they packed light. Before dawn they slipped out of the compound through the back bush road. Peter's father woke up later and found the hut empty. He searched around but found nothing. Furious, he made another call. "He's gone, but I know he was here." At the Isayan border, Dike entered an old Peugeot with a changed name and a forged ID. He looked back once at the bush that had become home. "I'll return, but not as a politician." He looked ahead. "I'll return as a man with nothing to lose and everything to fix."